What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto betrayed after the Sasuke Retrieval? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. He lost it all that day. He lost his friends, his crush, his home, his life, and his dream. He just slogged through the rain, going in some unknown direction, some unknown designation. Flashback. Naruto sat waiting for the inevitable to happen to him. He knew it would come to this. The council banishing him from Konohagakure no Sato. He had no chance, his only allies were Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Iruka, and only Jiraiya and Tsunade had any real pull with the council. His other teacher, Kakashi, was nowhere to be seen. The only way for Naruto is banishment. You saw the mission report. He lost control and allowed the Kyuubi to escape. Not only that, he used deadly force against Sasuke Uchiha. For the safety of the village, he must be killed or exiled. I think I speak for the rest of the council when I say let's banish Naruto Uzumaki. Are there any objections? Kaharu said. Yeah, I have an objection. He did nothing wrong. He brought back the Uchiha and denied Orochimaru the Sharingan, and you're rewarding him with banishment. How is that fair? Jiraiya yelled. You can't do this, as the Godiami Hokage. I can overrule you. Tsunade said. I'm sorry Tsunade, but even you can't go against the majority of the council. Danzo said. The daimyo gave us these laws to check the Hokage's powers. There is nothing you can do. I think it's decided. Naruto Uzumaki, do you have anything to say? Homura said. I have nothing to say to you. Naruto growled. Naruto. Iruka said in a warning voice. His anger is unchecked. He could easily fall victim to the fox and kill us all. A shinobi councilman said. Tsunade was about to retort, but was cut off by Kaharu. We're sorry Tsunade, but this is the only way. She turned to Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki, you are hereby stripped of your rank of genin and banished from the Konoha. If you attempt to return after a 1-week period, you will be put to death. Present. So Naruto kept on walking. Eventually he stopped and realized he was in the land of waves. It didn't take him long to find Tazuna's house. Naruto, Tsunami said. God Naruto, you look awful. What happened? She was cut off as Naruto collapsed into her arms crying, leaving her and Inari to wonder what happened to him. 12 years later. 12 years had passed since Naruto had been banished. Tsunade was still Hokage, but she was now looking for a replacement. Right now she was on top of the Hokage building wondering who she should pick when an Anbu agent appeared right behind her. Tsunade-sama, we have a problem. The fire temple was attacked yesterday by the Akatsuki. An Anbu agent said, we have one survivor. He is here to see you. That got Tsunade attention fast. She was still determined to protect Naruto still, and this was one way to do it. By eliminating the Akatsuki. Very well, send him in, Tsunade said as she returned to her office. Shizune was there. She was one of the few people Tsunade still tolerated after all these years. So let's hear it. What happened at the fire temple? Tsunade demanded. Tsunade-sama, 2 members of the Akatsuki appeared yesterday. They destroyed the doors of the fire temple with ease. As you know, those doors take a massive power to breach. They then attacked Shiriku and the monk stopped. He was close to breaking down from grief. I am sorry to hear for your loss, but I need to know what happened next. It's very important to the fire country's safety, Tsunade said. And Naruto's Tsunade thought, I need to hear this and I need to hear this now. Do you understand? Tsunade shouted. Tsunade, can't you see this man has been through something terrible? Please, calm yourself, Shizune said. Tsunade was about to reprimand Shizune when the monk spoke up. No, I am sorry. I know I need to finish telling you about this. The monk said. As I was saying, the Akatsuki attacked Shiriku, and even after Shiriku used welcoming approach. 1,000 armed murder on the intruders. He was still easily overpowered by one of the Akatsuki and killed. The monk said. I see, Tsunade said. Can you tell me what they looked like? What weapons they used and where they're heading next? Anything you know may save lives the next time we fight them. One of them has silver hair and purple eyes. His name was Hidan and he used a massive triple-bladed scythe. I did not get to see all of his abilities, but he was very strong. The monk said. The other one had a cowl on and had green eyes. He did not join in the fight. The monk paused. That is all I know. Tsunade was silent for a moment, thinking about what to do. Shizune, Tsunade shouted, "Get the Niju Shotai ready. We cannot let those two Akatsuki escape the fire country. Tell them to meet me on the roof immediately." -2 hours later, 80 shinobi were on top of the Hokage palace. All of them were listening attentively to the Hokage. The briefing wasn't that long, but by the end everyone was itching to get out there and find the Akatsuki. And that is all. 2 Akatsuki have infiltrated the fire country and you will deal with them. Try and capture them, but if you can't eradicate them, find them no matter what. Are there any questions? Tsunade said. Asuma raised his hand. Yes, Asuma. Yes, one of the monks there, Chiriku, is there any word on him? Asuma asked. Tsunade was silent. The monk however said, Chiriku-sama was killed by the Akatsuki. Asuma looked alarmed, worried even, but then he took on a look of resolve. Are there any further questions? Good, dismissed. Tsunade shouted, as the ninja dashed off. I need a drink, Shizune. Tsunade murmured. Elsewhere in the village, 4 ninjas stood, ready to commence the mission. Alright everybody, we'll start at the fire temple and work our way from there. Asuma said. Let's move out, somewhere in the fire country. Kakuzu, this place smells like shit. I'm going outside, Hidan said. Kakuzu was silent as Hidan stepped outside. He then began counting the money for the bounty of Chiriku. Outside. Man, this place suck. Now I smell like shit. Hidan thought. Hidan then noticed something around him and he looked around. Hey, what took you so long, Kakuzu? Hidan asked, turning around, and stopped. You're not Kakuzu. In a lonely dusty road in the fire country, one man was completely lost. He had a brown coat on with a 21 on the back, almost brushing the ground. A scarf covered his face and a round fedora on top of his head. The last time he was here was 12 years ago. It was Naruto Uzumaki's return to the fire country. Although he knew he couldn't flaunt his name or show his face in this region, and also knowing he would return back west soon once this job was done, it was still a bittersweet homecoming. It's been a long time since I've been here, Naruto thought. But no time for nostalgia, I've got to get to the waterfall village. He checked his map and tried to find the road he was on. Damn, I'm completely lost, he thought as he put away the map. Well, only way is forward, I guess, Naruto said aloud. He resumed his walk. A few minutes later he saw a building up ahead. Maybe someone will have a clue to where I'm at. He began to approach the building and was about to call out when the man sitting down said, Man, this place suck. Now I smell like shit, Hidan said. Hidan then noticed someone around him and he looked around. Hey, what took you so long, Kakuzu? Hidan asked, turning around to face his partner, and stopped. You're not Kakuzu. Yeah, I'm not, Naruto said as he took in the man's appearance. The man was wearing a black cloak with red clouds. Red clouds, Naruto thought. Where have I seen that before? Probably not important, Naruto thought. Anyway, would you happen to know which way the waterfall village is? I got a package to deliver and I'm running a little late. I haven't been around here for a while and I'm kind of lost, Naruto said. Where have I seen that coat? He thought. The man grinned. Well, boredom solved. I'm waiting for my partner and looks like I get to kill you while I wait, he said. Prepare to meet Jashin, dumbass, as he readied his scythe. Whoa, what the fuck? All I asked for was directions, Naruto shouted as he reached into his coat, feeling for a weapon. He pulled out a kunai knife and prepared to run. Hidan sneered. You think I give a fuck? Die, asshole. Hidan then threw his scythe at Naruto, and just before Naruto jumped out of the way, 2 kunai knives were thrown from the side, knocking away the scythe. Naruto turned and froze. Before him stood an old sensei, Asuma, who then shouted, Hey, move it. Naruto quickly jumped back and saw Hidan frozen in place with 2 other shinobi rushing him with 2 swords. Naruto got a glimpse of another familiar face, Shikamaru, standing on top of the building. He turned back around to face Hidan and saw him with 2 swords run through him. Naruto heard Shikamaru say, One down. That's it, he's down, Izumo said, looking relieved. Ouch, man, Hidan said. Who the hell are you guys? A stunned silence fell on the other 5 standing there. What the hell? Katetsu began. Is he immortal? Katetsu said in horror. What was your first clue? Hidan said. He then noticed Asuma's sash. Oh, shit, you're just like the other guy. So what are you here for? Damn, we were hoping to get rid of you quickly and capture your partner for interrogation. Asuma growled. Speaking of which, where is your partner? Right over there, Hidan said lazily. Geez, what took so long, Kakuzu? Just as Kakuzu smashed half of the building where Shikamaru was standing a moment ago. Guys, fall back and form up on me. Asuma shouted as he jumped in front of Shikamaru. Right, Kotetsu and Izumo shouted, jumping to Shikamaru as well. You there? Asuma shouted at Naruto. If you can fight, help us. If not, get out of here. We don't need you getting in the way. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I'll give you guys a hand. I'm not much of a fighter, but I'll back you guys up. Naruto faced the Akatsuki duo. So, who are these guys? I think I've seen someone like them, but I can't remember very well. They're criminals in an organization called the Akatsuki. These two are very dangerous. Don't let your guard down. Kotetsu shouted at Naruto. Don't let your guard down, they're very powerful. Hidan, you really struck the jackpot today. That one with the sash, make sure his body is recognizable afterwards. Kakuzu said as he sized up the opponents. I'll take out the other four. Hell no, Kakuzu. Hidan shouted, they're part of my ritual. You can have your damn money after I'm through with them all. Just don't intervene, he said, as he readied his scythe. Fine, just don't let your guard down. You'll die, Kakuzu said. The others looked on in silence. Listen, this is what we'll do. Asuma began. Stranger, you and Izumo will stay back and guard Shikamaru. Kotetsu and I will take out the other one. Asuma looked perplexed as he finished his plan just as Hidan finished drawing his symbol on the ground. Just call me Arata, Naruto said. You guys will need all the help you can get with this guy. Sir, don't you think it's kinda risky? Even with two of us, that guy outclasses us by a lot. Maybe we should retreat for now and wait for backup? Izumo suggested. That won't work. They'll surely pursue us. Asuma said. No, this is our best bet, and it's a poor one at that, but we'll do what's necessary to protect the leaf. Asuma finished. Damn, that hurt you bastards. Hidan said as he removed the two swords from his body. Divine judgment awaits you assholes. Asuma-sensei, Kotetsu, don't wind up as some sacrifice, okay? Shikamaru said. Don't worry, I've got you backing us up. Asuma said. Alright, here we go. Asuma dashed forward and threw a knife at Hidan. Kotetsu dashed right and prepared a ball and chain. Hidan jumped out of the way of Asuma's knife, just as Shikamaru's shadows spread out and tried to spear Hidan. Kotetsu moved in to smash Hidan, when Hidan then threw one of the swords at Asuma and narrowly missed being flattened by Kotetsu. Asuma then broke it off with his wind-empowered trench knives, when Hidan threw his scythe at Asuma. Asuma Taiko. Izumo shouted as Asuma got nicked with the scythe. Kotetsu stopped for a moment and then got nailed with Hidan's fist. Bitch, stay down, Hidan shouted triumphantly. Just then, he brought his scythe up to his mouth and licked it, tasting the blood. Naruto, who was standing quietly, said, Did he just taste your teacher's blood? He said in disbelief. These Akatsuki guys are insane. One of my friends claimed to have seen an Akatsuki member and said he looked like a plant. Izumo said. Not only that, but one of them is from the Uchiha clan. He murdered his entire clan in one night. His younger brother is obsessed with killing him now. Then it hit Naruto. Now I remember, the Akatsuki are after me. Well, not now, but Itachi Uchiha is. Naruto thought. It's been so long since I've been here. I've forgotten them. He turned his attention back to the fight. Maybe I should help out more. What happened next shocked the other three. Asuma had just preformed a fire jutsu and Hidan had walked purposely into it. What did he just do? Naruto shouted in alarm. Asuma suddenly winched in pain and suspended the jutsu, clutching his arm. He looked forward waiting for the smoke to clear and wondering what had hit his right arm. Was it his partner? Asuma wondered. Or did he get me earlier? What happened next sent shivers down everyone's spines. Well, except Kotetsu, he was still out cold. In Hidan's place stood a skeleton figure. Hurts, Hidan said as he lifted his face and showed his face to Asuma. Divine judgment has been passed. Asuma grunted from the pain in his arm. What happened? Is this his jutsu? Asuma thought. No, this isn't it. It's something else. Izumo shouted. Are you alright? It's too late for you now. You've already fallen victim to my curse. Hidan said. So come on, let's have some fun while we suffer together. He shouted. With my preparations complete, you'll be in so much pain. Asuma dashed forward, and fell forward groaning in pain as Hidan stabbed himself in the leg. "Asuma-sensei, are you alright? Hurts doesn't it?" Hidan said. "Don't worry, more pain is on the way." Asuma is holding his left leg. Naruto said. "What's happening?" "Yeah, and that other guy stabbed himself in the same leg," Azumo said. "But what does it mean?" Shikamaru looked at Hidan and tried to figure out the attack. "What does this mean? Asuma is sharing the same damage that other guy has, but how?" Shikamaru thought. "So do you want me to end it now or do you want to suffer a little more?" Hidan asked sadistically. "Hey, stop his movements, Shikamaru!" Naruto shouted. "Got it!" Shikamaru yelled as his shadows dashed forward. Too late. Hidan screamed as he brought his spear down. "Damn it, that bought us some time," Azumo said. "Can you think of something, Shikamaru? We can't kill him yet, or your sensei will die." Naruto stated. "Damn, what's his secret? Also his partner looks like he may join in." Shikamaru glanced at the other Akatsuki. "Yeah, but we have to prevent that one from killing our leader first," he stated. "Then we'll worry about him." Shikamaru went back to staring at Hidan. Then he realized it. "Guys, I learned what we need to do," Shikamaru said. "I need to move him out of the circle, that's how he's controlling what happens to Asuma. Hopefully the curse will lift off of him." Naruto looked unimpressed. "How's he trigger the curse though? These kind of jutsus need something of the victim to work effectively." "What does he have of your leader?" Naruto challenged. Azumo shot Naruto a look. "It's his blood and I don't see you coming up with anything." Azumo said. "No, this is our best bet. Not arguing with you there, but still. It seems far-fetched to me." Naruto stated. "I mean, I've never seen something like this and I doubt you have." Naruto finished. "Not only that, did you notice the circle? He moved straight into that. He must have to be in it for the curse to work." Shikamaru added. "I'll pull him out using my Kage Kyubi Shibari and then we'll kill him." Naruto stared. He's still pretty smart. Naruto thought. "Just make sure the jutsu is gone before killing him," Naruto said. "Yeah," Azumo said. "We better keep an eye out for the other guy too." "Alright, he's out of the circle," Asuma said. "Let's test this out." Asuma threw a trench knife at Hidan's ear and when nothing happened, he smirked. "Alright, time for you to die." "Oh, shit. Hey Kakuzu, help me." Hidan panicked as Asuma limped forward with his trench knives. "Hey, move asshole. Didn't I tell you not to let your guard down?" Kakuzu said in an amusing voice. Just then, Asuma cut off Hidan's head off. Shikamaru sighed as he released his jutsu. "He got him," Naruto shouted. Just then Shikamaru collapsed. "You okay, Shikamaru?" Azumo asked. "Just one left," Asuma said while panting. "Azumo, get Kotetsu and get him moving. We'll need his help for the last guy. You know, if you wanted my help you should have asked earlier," Kakuzu said amusingly. "Now look at you. Hey, go fuck yourself, Kakuzu. You did that on purpose," Hidan said accusingly. "Don't blame me. Besides, do you really think this is a good time for you to be shouting at me like that?" Kakuzu said. "Also, if I remember correctly, you specifically said to interfere. Didn't you?" A stunned silence descended on the Konoha shinobi and Naruto. "How the hell is he still alive?" Naruto said in disbelief. Hidan laughed. "Alright, you got me there, but still. Can you give me a hand getting me together?" Hidan said. "In case you didn't notice, I'm in pieces right now." Kotetsu woke up seeing a head arguing with someone. "Okay, what the hell happened to Azumo?" Kotetsu asked in horror. "Asuma cut that guy's head off and we need to stop the other one right now," Azumo said. "Shikamaru is exhausted and Asuma is gravely wounded. It's just us and Arata and it's not looking good." They turned their attention back to the Akatsuki. "Damn, that hurts, Kakuzu," Hidan shouted as Kakuzu picked up his head. "If you're going to complain about pain, complain about your neck," Kakuzu said. "I've never seen a decapitated head so talkative." "Fuck you, Kakuzu, and fuck you, guy. Do you know how much this hurts?" Hidan howled. "I can't believe he's still alive," Naruto said. He turned to Shikamaru. "Do you have any plans? We could use one right about now." "Not yet, but at least he can't do anything with his head detached from his head," Shikamaru said. "We may get a chance to retreat and wait for backup now. Right now that looks like our only option." "You wish," Kakuzu said sinisterly as he raced forward and kicked Asuma back. Asuma smashed into the ground, groaning in pain. Asuma, Kotetsu, Azumo, and Shikamaru shouted together. Kakuzu leaned over Hidan's body and began reattaching his head. I'm now involved in this fight. Take out the bounty. I'll kill the other 4. Kakuzu said. Ah, okay, just hurry up. Hidan said. Hurry up? You've dragged this fight on forever. Don't tell me to hurry up. Kakuzu said impatiently. Everyone else looked on in horror. He reattached his head. Naruto said. Now what? We're right back to where we started. Azumo. Katetsu said. Let's go. Right. Azumo shouted. Arata, stay back and protect Shikamaru. Azumo summoned a giant weapon and rushed forward. Katetsu spat out a water jutsu and followed Azumo. Good, come at me, Kakuzu said. Kakuzu looked up and realized he was stuck in the water. Die, Azumo shouted as he leapt forward. Before the blow could connect, Kakuzu's hands shot out from his body and grabbed the 2 shinobi by the necks. I don't think so, Kakuzu said. Then he froze as he saw Naruto jump forward and throw Azumo's weapon at Kakuzu. Shit, Kakuzu said and released the 2 Konoha ninja and grabbed the weapon. Asuma got up and attacked Hidan again. Hidan dodged the attack and got his scythe to go around and attack Asuma from behind. Asuma, Shikamaru yelled. Look out. Asuma dodged the attack just in time and smirked. I won't fall for the same trick twice, he said. Then his eyes shot open in pain and he collapsed. Hidan laughed. You idiot, it's not the same, he shouted. Shit, Azumo said. Where is the backup? They should be here by now. Shikamaru dashed forward in some vain attempt to save Asuma. You should look around before attacking, Kakuzu said as he went to punch Shikamaru. Only to be stopped by something else. What the hell? Kakuzu said as crows descended on the battle blocking everyone's view. You alright Shikamaru? Choji asked. He was stopping Kakuzu's attack with both his hands and was still struggling with Kakuzu. We've come to help, Shikamaru, Ino said. Just then Rado attacked Kakuzu with a blade, but the sword didn't even put a scratch on him. You'll have to do better than that if you're gonna kill me, Kakuzu said as he jumped besides Hidan. Alright, Kakuzu, let's waste these assholes, Hidan shouted. Hidan began to twirl his scythe. On the roof Choji and Ino dropped Shikamaru and Asuma off. Shikamaru checked for Asuma's heartbeat. Ino, he's still alive. Choji, Ino, bring Asuma to the hospital. Go now, Shikamaru shouted. Kakuzu landed right in front of them. You're not taking my bounty away, he said. Naruto and Aoba both landed in front of him. We'll hold him off. You get to the hospital, Aoba ordered. Stranger, I hope you know how to fight. A little bit, by the way my name's Arata, Naruto said. All of a sudden Kakuzu leapt back to Hidan. Hidan, leader is calling us. It's time to go, Kakuzu said. Come on, just a little longer? Hidan shouted. He turned towards the Konoha shinobi. This isn't over. We'll be back to finish the job later. The 2 vanished. Stay on your guard, this might be a trick, Rado shouted. No, they're gone, Naruto said simply. They have no reason to trick us. They're both far stronger than any of us here. Back on the roof. Ino, heal Asuma, he can still make it, Shikamaru shouted. Forget it Ino. I'm dying. Even you guys can see that, Asuma whispered. No, don't talk like that sensei, Ino said. As she said that her face took on a face of despair. 4 vital points are hit. There's nothing I can do, Ino thought miserably. Guys, these are Asuma sensei's last words. Let's listen, okay, Shikamaru said. Asuma rasped out his final words for each of his students. Okay Shikamaru, I'm counting on you. Now just one last drag before going on, Asuma said as he drew his last breath and died. A worthy end for a ninja, Aoba said silently. Shikamaru picked up Asuma's cigarettes. You know, I don't like smoking, Shikamaru said, but right now it feels right, he said as tears ran down his face. Goodbye Asuma sensei, Choji said. Like Shikamaru, tears were running down his face too. Everyone stayed silent for a moment in honor of Asuma. Guys, I hate to say this, but I think we need to move back to Konoha immediately. We don't know when they'll come back, Aoba said. Aoba turned to Azumo and Katetsu. You 2 look around this building and see if there is anything useful. Report back if there is, Aoba ordered. Azumo and Katetsu nodded. Yes sir, they said together. They then turned to Naruto. Arata, thank you for helping us. Naruto looked at them. No problem, sorry this had to happen, Naruto said. By the way, I hate to ask this, but do you know which way the waterfall village is? I'll show him, Rado said. You guys search the building. I'll show him on the map how to get to the waterfall village. Naruto turned to Rado. Thanks. The faster I can get there the better, Naruto said. Naruto turned towards Team 10. I'm sorry for your loss. Good luck out there, Naruto said. Shikamaru glanced at Naruto. Thanks Urata. Good luck getting to the waterfall village. Naruto nodded. Thanks. I'll see you around. Then Naruto jumped down to the road and began towards the waterfall village. Naruto reached the waterfall village after a 3-day journey, just when the sun began to set. Right now he was digging through his pockets looking for his ID to get in the village. He found just as he reached the guard post. Excuse me, sir, I'll need your papers, the waterfall guard said. Naruto handed the guard the papers. Here you go. By the way, what's with the security? Last time I was here it was a lot more lax, Naruto said. Did something happen? The guard looked over Naruto's papers. Oh, there's been another scare. Somebody in the Lightning Country thinks those Akatsuki guys are on the move. The guard said. I wouldn't worry too much. Same thing happened a couple years ago. The wreckage blew some smoke and got everybody riled up. Then nothing happened. Same thing, different day, I'd say. The guard concluded as he handed back Naruto's papers. Naruto accepted the papers. Alright, thanks for the heads up, Naruto said and walked off to find an inn. Alright, see you around the village Urata Jinsei, the guard said. Naruto walked on and stopped once he found an inn, the Blue Moon. Looks like a nice place, Naruto thought as he stepped inside. Hello, how can I help you? The owner asked. Yeah, can I have a room? I just need it for tonight and maybe tomorrow night, Naruto said. Yes sir, I can do that, the owner said. Would you like any food or anything? My wife in the back makes great soup. You should try it. Yeah, I could use some grub. By the way, would you know where Enkai Kagura is? I'm looking for her, Naruto asked. The owner's eyes narrowed. Oh, so you're with her lot. Well, I should have known. Your room is right over there and the soup will be 10 yen. Now, get out of here before my inn attracts any more people like you. The owner snarled. Naruto shrugged. He'd seen worse reactions when people figured out what business he was doing right now. Alright, thanks anyway, Naruto said as he walked over to his room and closed the door behind him. The next morning, Naruto strolled out of the inn and began looking for Enkai Kagura. He strolled down to the lesser traveled parts of the town. After a little searching, he found her standing behind a stall. Are you Enkai Kagura? Naruto asked. The woman glanced at him. Maybe, what do you want? Enkai asked. A mutual friend sent me. He told me to seek you out. Is Jiru around? Naruto asked. Enkai smiled. You must be Urata. Follow me, she said turning around. Let's go inside. She pulled out a key and opened a door behind her. Alright, so do you know what we're doing? Naruto asked. Enkai opened another door and began climbing some steps up to the second floor. You don't know anything about this job? Well, I won't hold it against you because I don't either. They continued up the stairs in silence until they reached the third story. Here we are, Enkai said. A man was sitting behind the next when he looked up and saw the duo. You must be Urata. I take it you have the message. Jiru said. You're a little late, but that's fine. No harm done. Now show me the message. Naruto reached into his pocket and withdrew an envelope. Here you go, Naruto said. I take it you understand what's going on. Doshin wasn't very clear when he told me about this. Jiru nodded. Yeah, he's a little paranoid. I don't like to do business with him, but he has a lot of contacts. Jiru said while reading the papers. He also just gave us a big opportunity. Are you familiar with the Lighting Country at all? Jiru asked. Naruto shook his head. Only the southern part of the country. So is that where we're heading? Naruto asked curiously. Jiru nodded. Yep. Miss Kagura, you'll stay here and watch the building. Urata and I will head out to the Lighting Country. Make sure everything runs smoothly and make sure the Han twins don't get into any more trouble. Jiru turned to Naruto. How soon can you be ready to go? I'm ready when you are. If you want I can begin heading there now, but I need to know what and where we're going. Naruto said. Jiru nodded. Yeah, splitting up would be better and what we're doing is robbing the Kumogakure military. -3 days later. Good, you made it. Jiru said. Any trouble getting here? He asked. None, Naruto said. So what's the plan? Naruto asked. Well, take a seat first. Jiru said motioning to the seat in front of him. We can't fight these guys head on. There are about 6 of them. all guarding some of the best steel Kumogakure has to offer. Now, one guy here, a man named Jin, has been scoping out the area for the past 2 weeks. He'll be here soon. Juru glanced up. Here he is now. Jin sat down beside Naruto. He was a little fat man with short black hair. Mr. Juru and Arata, right? Pleasure meeting you both, Jin said. Just telling Mr. Arata about the job. Juru said. Now, Jin, have you figured out anything? They might move the weapons soon. So we need to move. Juru said. I think the best bet would be to distract the guards and move in. Naruto said. He turned towards Jin. Jin, do you know if they're strong ninja or weaker ninja? This could alter the plan completely. Jin turned toward Naruto and grinned. Well, good thing I've been watching them for some time now. The weaker ones, I think there are 2 Chunin and 4 Genin in the day, but 2 Jonin come in at night. Jin leaned back in his chair. They think no one would dare attack during the day. We'll be able to get in and out quickly enough that the Jonin won't follow us. Agreed. Once we get out of this town, we'll deliver the weapons and go our separate ways. Juru said. The weapons are all packed up into crates and ready to go. Jin said. Do you have the seals? Yes, we do. Arata hand delivered them personally to me a couple of days ago. Juru said. So that's what I was delivering. It was nice of Doshin to mention that. Naruto said. I'll handle the seals. I got experience with them from past jobs. Okay, so here's the plan. Jin began. A few hours later, the headset in Naruto's headset crackled. Alright, let's begin, Jin said. Do it, Arata. Naruto walked by a deserted stand and dropped a small bag underneath the stall. Done, Naruto said. 10 seconds later, the old stall exploded, throwing debris everywhere. Soon 6 ninja rushed outside and stood, waiting for the assault to come, which didn't come. Naruto and Juru rushed inside the building. Alright, let's hurry. They'll be back any moment. Juru said. Here it is, Naruto said, pulling out the seals. Put these on those boxes. I'll put these on the other ones. Naruto said and handed the seals to Juru. 10 minutes later all the crates were sealed. Geez, there were more crates than expected. Juru said. Come on, let's meet up with Jin. Juru turned on his headset. Jin, is it all clear? It's all clear for now, but you better hurry up and get out of there. Jin's voice crackled in their headsets. Okay, we'll be there soon. Juru said. Let's go, Arata. They rushed outside and quickly separated in the crowd that was accumulating outside the building. The 3 met up quickly in an alleyway. Mission successful. Now let's get these to the buyer. Jin said. Also, the buyer has changed where he wants us to go. The drop-off point is down south by the docks. Jin shook hands with Naruto and Juru. I'm going to head off and make sure the cops aren't onto us. Good luck, Jin said and headed out of the alleyway. Juru turned towards Naruto. So Arata, shall we deliver the stuff? Juru said. Naruto nodded. Yeah, let's not keep them waiting. The 2 left the alley and walked towards the docks. So how long do you think we have before they realize they've misplaced some things? Naruto asked. Juru glanced at Naruto. Oh, about an hour, I say. Tell me, is there anything else more thrilling than a successful heist? To me, it's the greatest feeling in the world. Juru said, his voice riddled with glee. Defiantly, to know you just succeeded where few people would even dare try. It's an exuberant feeling, Naruto said, but we should hurry up. It's a little difficult to explain why we're carrying around some missing military hardware. You're right, let's hurry up, Juru said as they rushed off towards the drop-off point. When they got there, a man stepped out of the shadow. Are you Juru? The man asked. Yeah, are you Jin's contact? Juru asked. The man smiled and said. That's all I needed to know. Now, the man shouted as over a dozen lighting country ninja jumped out and wrestled Naruto and Juru to the ground. What the fuck? Jin betrayed us. Juru spat as he struggled against the ninja. Naruto ceased his struggling quickly, as his efforts were in vain. Damn, we're screwed, Naruto said. Speak of the devil. Jin strolled into the building they were being held in. He quickly walked over to the commander. Anything else I can help you with? Jin asked without even glancing toward the 2 prisoners. The commander turned toward Jin. Yes, there is. Who is this man with Juru? You said there would only be Juru and no accomplices. The commander said. He's just hired help. He's nobody. Jin said. I didn't expect him either, but I did deliver the guy who's been stealing all your military hardware for the past few months. The command nodded. Alright, but don't accept anything extra for him. Naruto had been listening intently to the two and said, I'm not a criminal. The commander snorted. Tell that to the guy you stole these from. He motioned to the boxes of weapons. The name Katsuo Company was on all the boxes. Naruto silently laughed at that. Oh well, what can you do? Naruto thought. One day later, Naruto and Jiru sat in the back of a carriage in silence. So where do you think they're taking us? Naruto asked. Jiru glanced at Naruto. I don't know where you're going, but I can tell you where I'm heading. Jiru said and leaned back against the carriage. I know they want names from the Waterfall crime family and I plan to give them some. Hopefully I'll get a lighter sentence and a better place to ride out my jail time. I don't know about you though. Sorry. Jiru finished. Naruto nodded. Don't worry about me. I've been in a lot worse positions before this. Naruto looked around beyond the carriage. You know how bad Kumo's prisons are? Naruto asked. No, I don't. Did you hear that one city has some kind of special carriage? The city of Manila has a ton of weird inventions, but supposedly these carriages don't need a horse to pull them. Jiru said. Yeah, Manila doesn't allow many of their inventions to leave the city. They fiercely guard their technology. Naruto said. I mean there's a reason why none of the 5 great nations could ever take over that city. They got a lot of secrets on how to prevent takeovers. You know a lot about Manila. You from there? Jiru asked. Sort of. Naruto said just as the carriage slowed down. Looks like this is where we part ways. Good luck. 2 guards walked to the back of the carriage and motioned for Naruto to get out. Good luck to you too, Urata. Jiru said. Naruto jumped down, and with the 2 guards flanking him, walked over to the entrance. The doors opened and the 3 men walked into the waiting room. Once there, one of the guards uncuffed him while the other one began speaking. The rules are simple. Don't bother trying to escape. I don't know if you noticed, but you're a plateau and it's damn near impossible to climb. Also, we're surrounded by Kumo's Deathland. You'll die in a matter of days if you get there. Meals are twice a day. Oh, and you better be nice to the guards. It would be terrible if we forgot your release date. Any more questions, ask the damn prisoners. We're too busy to bother. Understand? Naruto nodded. Yeah, I get it. Just let me in for God's sake. Naruto said impatiently. The guard gave him a cruel smile. Sure. Another pair of doors opened, revealing the camp. Welcome to Camp Kinkaseki. I'm sure you'll enjoy your stay. And the guards, while laughing, kicked Naruto into the prison. Have fun rotting in here. Naruto hit the ground and rolled down a small embankment, coming to a stop in a pit of mud, groaning once he hit the ground. Maybe I shouldn't have been testy with the guard in my first 5 seconds. Naruto thought as he took in his surroundings. Not very pretty, he thought. A few prisoners looked around and stared at him. Some looked at him very murderously, others curiosity, some like they were about to rob him, and others just gave him a hopeless stare. One man, underneath a dead tree, beckoned for him to come over. Naruto stared at him. The man had a white beard and was wearing very ragged clothes, not someone who was a very successful in here, but Naruto shrugged and trudged on over to him and sat down next to him. The old man grinned at Naruto, showing him that he was missing several teeth, and said, So, what are you in for? Straight to the point, huh? Well, I was robbing Kumo's military and for some reason they didn't like that. I got ratted out by someone and here I am. Naruto said. The old man frowned. You were robbing the military? Are you part of the rebellion? Or something? Naruto looked at him confused. There's a rebellion going on? I didn't know that. I was just looking to make a quick buck. The old man sighed. Well, that's the point. Information is a rare thing around here and we don't hear a lot from the outside. Just stories from new prisoners like yourself. Anyway, I've been in here for 27 years now. Damn, what did you do to piss off Kumogakure? Jin smiled. Oh, you know. A little of this and a little of that, but what's your name? I gave you mine, now you give me yours. You're real pushy for my name. It's Urata. Well, Urata in here names and respect is all we have left. There's nothing in here and if you get out, that's all you have. What do you mean? In my 27 years here, I've only seen 38 people walk out of here. The other thousands that get out of here are buried over beyond that hill. Why not escape? I mean, it can't be too hard to scale these walls and hide beyond here. Jin sighed again. New people, you all think escape is so easy. I'll let someone else explain it to ya, but for now it's nearly time to sleep. Jin stood up. Follow me, Jin said. Naruto got up and followed Jin to a small collapsed roof that was being held up by a few logs. Jin stopped. Just go on over there. I'll join you in a few minutes. Jin trudged off. Naruto looked around and headed inside. He glanced around inside and noticed a few makeshift cots lining the walls of the building and went to sit down. A few prisoners were huddled around a small table, glanced at him and snickered. Wonder what that fool's doing. One of them murmured. Entertainment for the night, another said. Naruto briefly wondered what they meant, but laid down on the cot and drifted off to sleep. Get the hell out of my bed. Naruto awoke with a jolt and felt a pair of hands grab him and throw him to the ground. A fist soon followed and smashed into Naruto's nose. Naruto hit the ground, clutching his nose, and looked up. He saw a giant man standing over him. The giant delivered a kick and was just about to smash Naruto's skull in. Suddenly, Naruto rolled sideways and kicked the giant straight in the crouch. He immediately leapt up and began punching the giant as hard as he could. Before the Naruto could land another blow, a hand shot out and hit Naruto in the jaw, causing him to roll over into some cots. The two men staggered to their feet. Each of them stared at each other. Eventually, the other man spoke. Get the hell out of here. He snarled. Naruto glanced around and noticed the men playing cards earlier stood up and they looked ready to fight. Alright, Naruto turned and walked out of the shack. Naruto lifted his hands and felt his nose. Nothing seems to be broken. Naruto thought. He spotted Jin all little ways away and began walking towards him. Jin looked up. You alright? No thanks to you. You knew that would happen, didn't you? Naruto asked angrily. Of course. I just wanted to see if you could fight him off, and you did. Most people who fight Gordo don't walk back to me. Why though? Isn't it obvious? I wanted to see if you would be useful to my gang. We always need fresh blood. What if I refuse? Jin leaned closer to Naruto. Listen, in here there's 3 groups. My group, it's not really a gang, the guards, and the blood devils, that's the gang Gordo's in. They control their side of the prison, we control ours. The guards will keep to themselves and they don't really enforce the rules here, and if you want to get out of here, you have to belong to one. I doubt the devils will want you in now that you royally pissed off Gordo. He's one of the lieutenants. That leaves my group. So, join up if you want to survive your prison time. Jin finished and stared at Naruto. Naruto looked around and shrugged. I guess I don't really have a choice. Jin looked relieved. Good, I'll show you your quarters. Naruto followed Jin through the prison and eventually came upon doorway leading inside. This is where we stay. Jin said. I hope you're not afraid of the dark. Naruto followed Jin inside. After walking for a few minutes, he came upon a cell. Inside was an even older man than Jin in 2 cots. The man laying down on the cot looked up and stood up. So this is my new cellmate. The man got up and unlocked the cell. You locked the cell? Naruto said suspiciously. It's so I don't need someone on watch. The man said. A lot of us did. By the way, my name is Wong. Yours? Wong said. Arata. Naruto walked into the cell and sat down. Well, I bid you 2 farewell. Jin said and walked off. Wong looked at Naruto. You'd better get some sleep. You look like shit. Naruto glanced at him. You don't look so much better either. Besides, don't old men need to sleep all the time? Oh, cheeky twit. Wong chuckled. Just go to sleep. Maybe it will make you wiser. Like me. Yeah, sure it will. Naruto laid down and drifted off to sleep. So you just want me to go in and grab it, right? Naruto asked. That's right, Jin said. The 2 men were crouched behind a crumbling stone statue. Both were staring at a guard standing on a wooden platform. Naruto glanced at Jin. What will happen if I fail? Naruto asked. The guard will beat the hell out of you and you'll be put in solitary confinement for a week with barely any food or water. So it would be in your best interest to not get caught and thrown in there. Jin said. Naruto went back to looking at the guard. He had been doing this for several weeks. Doing odd jobs like this. Jin had claimed it was to build up trust and Naruto would know soon. Frankly, Naruto thought this was a little ridiculous. Run me through the plan again. Naruto demanded. Alright, so this is how it will go down. One of my men, Tianozu, will run down there and knock the platform over just as the supply carts are coming in. While everyone is falling down, run in and steal Dulce's reign, the guard by the way in case you forgot. He's one of the officers in the prison and he'll make whoever stole his ring life's living hell. Which is mine. Naruto interjected. Calm down, I ain't finished yet. We need his ring for the future. It will come in handy. Trust me, kind of a hard thing to do when you're not telling me much. Don't worry, you'll understand everything soon enough. Jin glanced at his watch. The carts are just about to arrive, get ready and good luck. Naruto rose to his feet and made his way down to the group of prisoners that were gathered to unload the carts. The reason why there was such a crowd was because whoever unloaded them could easily swipe one or two things while doing it. But Naruto wasn't here to steal food. There was something else he wanted. Something, if Jin was right, something far more valuable than some cans of Spam or whatever they were being fed. Naruto entered the crowd just as the carts were entering. He spotted Tianozu making his way to the platform and decided to get close to Dolso before the chaos began. He immediately began weaving through the crowd. Naruto felt a pang of fear and wondered what would happen if he got caught. No time to worry about that now, Naruto thought. Naruto heard a crack and the entire platform collapsed, spilling sacks of food, guards, and prisoners. Naruto saw Dolso rush forward trying to bring order to the prisoners scrambling to grab whatever. Just then, Naruto came up with an idea. He grabbed a fellow prisoner and threw him at Dolso. Before Naruto, Dolso crumbled to the floor. Grabbing another prisoner, Naruto threw him on top of Dolso and immediately reached for his ring. Only to find there was no ring on his finger. Naruto immediately searched the only other lace he could think of, Dolso's pocket. Reaching in, he felt the ring and grabbed it. Success, Naruto thought triumphantly. Naruto turned to get out of this brawl only to plow into a prisoner. The ring slipped from Naruto's hand. Horror fell over Naruto. Oh shit, Naruto thought. Quickly making up his mind, he leapt straight into the brawl and began a frantic search for the ring. After several minutes of searching, he spotted it on the ground. Bingo, Naruto thought. Naruto grabbed it and made a beeline for the exit. At the exit, Jin was waiting. Did you get it? He asked. Panting, Naruto showed him the ring. Got it. Jin smiled. Excellent. Catching his breath, Naruto handed the ring to Jin. So, what's this for? If you were watching you'd know I nearly lost the ring. Jin smiled again. Urata, if you were smarter, you would have made me tell you before you handed me the ring. Naruto sighed. Should have thought of that earlier. Yes, you should have. But come, we're one step closer to escaping. Hell, we might be able to get out in a month. Jin began walking towards their base. In a week, Urata, then you'll know our plan to leave. For now, get some rest. I'll have someone bring you some food. Also, keep your head down. The guards will be looking for anyone in that brawl. Naruto nodded glumly. I was hoping to get some answers. Naruto thought as he headed for his bunk. Another day, I guess. Hey, Urata, wake up. Naruto jerked awake and shot up from his cot. Geez, just about gave me a heart attack. Jin laughed. Come on, you can finally get your answers today. About time. Just follow me. Naruto followed Jin deeper into the building. Several minutes later, the two men stood in front of a wall. Jin approached the wall and knocked on the wall 3 times. Almost immediately the wall swung open and the two men walked inside. Inside was a woman with black hair, sitting down across a table with several seats besides and in front of her. She smiled. You must be Urata. Welcome, I am Mari, leader of the Kumo Rebellion and in charge of this operation here. Please have a seat. Naruto sat down, followed by Jin. So why did you call me here? Naruto asked. Jin cleared his throat. To answer your questions of course and to make an offer. Mari nodded. Precisely, we know you've had quite a few questions and we believe you earned the right to some knowledge. Alright, so why the rebellion? I never heard of anything like this as a kid. I'm also gonna guess you're ninjas too, not gangsters or whatever. Yes, we are ninja rebelling against the Fourth Raikage. The rebellion started several years ago. Right before it took power and began wielding Kumo with an iron fist. My father was a candidate for the Raikage and would have won had it not been for murdering several councilmen and sealing the 8 tails into his brother. My father left the capital and began warring with Kumo. Eventually, several years before the Hyuga crisis, he was killed and hundreds of us were captured. I was just a young girl at the time and we were all thrown into prisons. Mari said. Now we see a chance to escape. Surrounding this prison is the Kumo Badlands, one of the harshest places on earth. It's claimed entire armies including the first Tsuchikage. We learned earlier this year that some strange weather pattern has moved in, soaking the Badlands. According to several sources, some oases have been created. It would allow us to escape and not all die in the Badlands. Jin said, "So you need my help with escaping, right?" Naruto asked, "But why me? Why not yourselves? You both said you're ninjas. Can't you break out and run?" I don't know if you noticed yet, but Kumo has installed several chakra blockers. It's made any jutsu useless if you have been marked with this seal, which everyone has. We're not so good without chakra, but you are. We've seen you handle enemies in here, enemies we'd need chakra to beat. Also, several members we gained inside the jail don't use chakra. Without them we'd have no force to fight Jin concluded, and in 1 week we'll be ready to leave this terrible prison. Mari said, "We just need to get everyone ready." Jin nodded, "We're just about ready to go. There are only a few things left to do and we'll be out of here. We'd also like to extend an offer to you to be a lieutenant in our army. You're resourceful and we need more people like you if we want to take out Naruto looked at her surprised. "Thanks, but I'll need some time to think about that." Mari scoffed at him. "Honestly, why would you turn that down? You're being offered a post that may get you one of the most powerful positions in the world. A lieutenant now, but when we win this war, you'll be a general. Also, we know you're a ninja, or at least have some training." Naruto looked at her surprised again. "How did you know?" Mari smirked. "Any decent ninja can sense chakra. Jin and I both sensed you, but think about my offer. It's a once-in-lifetime offer. Like I said, I'll think about it, but just saying, I'm not a very good ninja. I gave up and know I'm looking for something. We'll help you find it once we've won the war." "No, only I know what I'm looking for and I think I'm close to finding it." Jin looked amused. "In here, Arata? There's not a whole lot in here." "I know, but I couldn't explain it to you. It's something I had to do on my own." "Well, we'll help you find it if you want, but for now go get some sleep, we all have a big week tomorrow." Mari said, "Good night." Naruto and Jin both got up and left. The two walked in silence for a while. "So how many people who are in this gang actually know what's going on?" Naruto asked. "Too many if you ask me. Wong, your cellmate, knows, but he's too old to fight now. Several others know, but most have a general idea on who we are. Everyone in this prison knows really, well except the Blood Devils. They're all a bunch of morons. Seeing as I had no clue who you are makes me feel clueless." "Thanks, Jin. Don't mention it. Good night." "Same to you." Naruto went back to his cot and went to sleep immediately. This was gonna be a busy week. In a cave somewhere, several figures appeared at once. All of them were holographs. The notorious Akatsuki had formed up. "We're all here," Kisame said, "except for the zombie brothers. They've finally been put into the ground, but you never know with them." Kisame joked. "Show some respect, Kisame. Hidan and Kakuzu were comrades." Pain said, "They will be missed, I think." Deidara joked. "Enough of this, we have work to do." Conan said, "Of course we do, we're still missing 2 of the tailed beasts." Itachi stated, "You think we'll find them after all this time? I think we should just give up." Toby said playfully, "And that is why you're not a great ninja, Toby. You give up too easy. You also need to pay attention more. We know where the 8 Tails is, but it's under heavy guard. Much heavier now that we've been spotted in Konoha last month." Zetsu said, "Are there any leads on the 9 Tails?" Itachi asked. "Yes. Samahata has picked up traces of a tailed beast's chakra. It was only a week's old, but it's in Kumogakure." Kisame said, "How do we know it's not the 8 Tails?" Conan asked. "We can't afford to run around on a wild goose chase anymore. We show up in Kumo, the Raikage is gonna go after us." "She's right. We can't afford any more losses." Pain said. "Itachi, Kisame, are you sure it's the 9 Tails? The chakra is turning up in the southwest part of the country. The 8 Tails is more towards the center." Itachi said, "I can't guarantee it, but this is where most of the signs were popping up." "He's right, Pain. The 8 Tails movement is restricted by his brother." Zetsu said, "I'll take your word, but if you're wrong, I'll have your heads." Pain said, "Would you like one of our heads? We have hundreds of them." Zetsu joked, "Now is not the time for jokes. We need action. It's also time I announced 2 new members to the Akatsuki. Ganon and Amuru, welcome to the Akatsuki." 2 new figures stepped out. One was female with midnight black hair and a sword strapped to her back. She had bright green eyes and pointed ears and gave everyone a nervous smile. The other was nearly as tall as Kisame and he was dressed in black, but all of the members could make out the seals and muscles on him. He had black hair also and eyes blacker than coal. He just nodded to everyone. "Hello," Mamoru said nervously. "Nice to meet you." She bowed low to all of the members. "Ganon, at your service," Ganon said. He just jerked his head a little. Everyone called out a greeting. "It's nice to see someone else with a sword, even if it is a toothpick." Kisame said. "This isn't just a toothpick. It's strong. Trust me," Mamoru said. "Let's not forget why we're here, people." Conan called out. "We need to get the other two beasts and fast." "Well, does anyone have a plan?" Deidara asked. "It seems like all we're doing is bickering among ourselves," Itachi said. "That's because that's all we do," Tobi said. "I still don't understand how you got into the Akatsuki, Tobi. All you're good at is running and some earth techniques." Deidara said. "It's because I'm awesome like that," Tobi said. "Enough," Pain shouted. Immediately the room went silent. "I understand you feel frustrated. I am too. We still haven't obtained our goal of all the tailed beasts, but we will have them by the end of the month. Both of them, and then this world will experience true pain." "I have an idea," Itachi said. "It may seem risky, but it will be easy if we do it correctly." "You're all dismissed, except you, Itachi. Tell me your plan," Pain said. Everyone in the room faded out, leaving only Itachi and Pain. "Now it goes like this." Naruto was in his cell doing push-ups. He was just finishing a set when Wong walked in. "Are you sure you should be doing that right now? We will all need to be a max strength and being sore won't make you any better when the time comes to get out of here." Naruto stopped for a moment. "I like to stay in shape. Also, I'm not working that hard." Naruto continued on with his workout. "Still, you'll want to be at your max. Not tired," Wong said. Naruto stopped and stood up. "Fine, I'm done anyway. Let's go find Jin and see if we can help with anything." Just as Naruto stood up, Jin walked in. "Is it time?" Naruto asked. "Sort of," Jin said. "The first part of the plan is about to begin. Remember that ring you stole? We need to return it or give it to someone else. What do you need me to do? If we want to get out of here with as little causality as possible, we need to make sure the other gang doesn't interfere with us. You're going to plant the ring on Gordo. Got it? Sounds easy enough, Naruto thought. Just give me the ring." Jin reached into his pocket and handed the ring to Naruto. "Also, you don't need to put it in his pocket. You just need to get it so the guards will think Gordo took it. So like a sack or under his bed." Jin nodded. "Just use your imagination." And with that Jin walked away. Naruto crept over to where Gordo's bed was and seeing that no one was around slipped it under Gordo's bed mat. Just as he was leaving, Gordo stepped in. "You," he snarled. "You're that bastard over in Jin's gang." Naruto continued to walk out of Gordo's hut. "Don't know what you're talking about. I have really shitty luck here, don't I?" Gordo was about to snarl something else but stopped and smiled instead. "Just wait. Soon you won't be able to prance around like you're doing now. You just watch your back for now. 'Cause soon you won't have your friends to back you up." Naruto left without saying anything. He understood how men like Gordo, and in a few days he wouldn't have to see him ever again. He walked back to his bed. Jin was there talking to Wong. Naruto just gave him a thumb up. "Mission accomplished. That's good to hear. I was just briefing Wong on what to do. Feel free to sit in if you want," Jin said. Naruto laid down in his bed. "Alright, but don't get offended if I nod off." It didn't take him long to fall asleep. Just as dawn was approaching, the Akatsuki formed up. "So this is the beginning of the end, isn't Pain?" Conan asked. Yes it is. Do we all understand the plan?" Pain said. He turned to Itachi. "Itachi, are you ready?" "Yes. I'll control the 7 tails. You'll control the other 6 with your chakra blades," Itachi said, and with that he manipulated the 7 tails to the Valley of the Clouds and Lighting. "Let's hurry this up and show them how art is a blast," Deidara said. He created a bird and jumped on it, taking flight quickly and ascending into the air, heading towards the capital of Kumogakure. Ganon summoned a beast. It was a sort of like a giant boar. "I'll ride this into Kumogakure. I have other giant beasts to summon. They'll cause plenty of chaos." "Hold up, I'll go with you." Mamoru jumped up and joined Ganon on top of the giant boar. "Is this a summon?" Mamoru asked. "Sort of." The duo ran off, straight into Kumo. "Kisame, just do whatever you can to cause chaos," Pain ordered. Kisame chuckled. You got it. Let's see how they like getting sliced into ribbons. Kisame stepped into a river and vanished, heading downstream into a nearby town. Conan, create your paper fortress. I don't know how well I'll be able to use Diva Path once I start controlling the tailed beasts. Kona turned to Toby. Toby, if you would start. Toby saluted. No problem, Ms. Conan. Toby turned away from Conan and performed the seals for a jutsu, an earth jutsu. Doten, earth platform. The ground quickly formed up into a platform and walls enclosed parts of the platform as well. That's all for Toby. You sure you don't want me to control a tailed beast? I bet I could do it pretty well. Pain shook his head. Toby, I'm still angry that you never told us you stole a Sharingan or where you got it. But no, I don't need your help. Join Deidara after this. You're dismissed. Pain walked over to Conan. Is it ready? Not yet, Pain. Conan did a few seals and paper flew off to the structure Toby made. The paper began to form wings on the structure and soon it was ready. Excellent, Conan. Wait a moment. Pain walked over to the fort and began sticking chakra rods into it. This will allow it to fly. Go into the structure. I shall summon the tailed beasts now. Conan entered the fort and Pain performed a few seals and in no time 6 tailed beasts appeared. Each had chakra rods in them and all 6 of them had the Rinnegan for eyes. Pain walked back into the fort and sat down. Now we begin the capture of the 8 and 9 tails. Author's note. The characters are gonna be different in my story. Also their abilities will be different. Deidara flew immediately to Kumo's ninja village. He wanted to be the first Akatsuki to strike. So he flew and in a few hours, he was high above Kumo. Deidara glanced down onto the streets of Kumo. No one's noticed me yet. He grinned as he pulled out a statue of a bird. Now let's show the good people of Kumogakure that art. He paused for a moment and dropped the statue. As a blast, a massive explosion ripped through Kumogakure. Several buildings teetered and collapsed, crushing civilians and ninja. Deidara dropped several others, each causing equal destruction. Raikage, we are under attack from the Akatsuki. A Chunin yelled. We think it is the clay user from Iwagakure. Deidara was looking out of the window of his office, looking over the destruction of his village. Turned away from that and smashed a desk into pieces and shouted. Order 50 lighting users to bring him down. Get the genin to escort the civilians to safety. Order another 100 to attack the bombs as they fall. Walked towards the window and threw the destroyed desk through the window. He paused for a moment and turned back to the Chunin. Also, send a message to the other villages. Notify them that the Akatsuki have surfaced again and this is our chance to kill them all. And with that, he leapt from his office and ran off. A's assistant remained in his office. You know, I know the village is under attack, but he could have at least used the stairs. She turned towards the Chunin. Well, what are you waiting for? Go get those lighting users. I'll handle the message to the other villages. The Chunin nodded. Yes, ma'am. Just as he was leaving, another ninja ran into his office, panting. Where's the Raikage? She shouted. The assistant was just preparing the message for the other villages. He's gone out to fight the Akatsuki, Karui. Damn it, she shouted. I need to see him and tell him that the 7 Tails is heading towards Killer B. Itachi stood on top of the Nanabi, flying straight towards Killer B. He knew he had most likely been spotted by Kumo, but hopefully Deidara would tie up Kumo and allow him to capture Killer B. Itachi soon spotted the Valley of Clouds and Lighting. Scanning the valley, he spotted a tent and willed the 7 Tails to begin charging up for a chakra blast. The blast headed straight into the tent and exploded and tore up the land. Dust and debris flew everywhere. Itachi stared at the destruction in front of him, hoping that wasn't it from one of the most powerful tailed beasts. He wasn't disappointed when another tailed beast blast flew right out of the dust and straight at him. The Nanabi lazily dodged the blast and hovered nearby as the dust cleared. In place of the dust was a massive octopus. The 8 tails, Itachi mused. Let's begin, Killer B. No words were exchanged as B charged up another blast and fired it right at Itachi. Itachi and the Nanabi were obliterated and blown away from the blast. Look at that guy, thinking he's a tough guy, but it didn't take him long to fry. B said, you should pay attention more, especially in a fight. A voice said beside him. Just as B heard it, the Nanabi released another blast straight into the side of the Hachibi. B was thrown into a nearby mountain and smashed the mountain completely. Itachi channeled his chakra through the Nanabi and the Nanabi fired a massive fireball at B. Itachi circled the wreckage, wondering if that was it for the Eight Tails. He was not disappointed when the Hachibi came to life and swung its tentacles at him. B, this isn't going well. The Hachibi said. I've lost most of my chakra firing those two blasts and using more on defending against the last blast and that fireball. You need to slow down the chakra consumption. I know bud, but this guy ain't no dud. B said. I'll bring this fight to close quarters now. B lashed out with his tentacles and began dragging down the Nanabi. Right as he was about to burst the Nanabi's head off it, the seven tails dissolved into hundreds of ravens. Genjutsu B. He's escaping. I know, I thought that was the final blow. Itachi performed a few hand signs and the water erupted around the Eight Tails, forming 6 tall towers around the Hachibi. Water style, 6 water spiral attack. The 6 spires launched several spears at the Hachibi, impaling it in several spots. B let out a howl of pain and immediately jerked out of the water spears. Several of the Eight Tails' tentacles fell off and landed into the water. B, this is urgent. I can heal your wounds, but then you'll only have enough for one more tailed beast blast and no rapping if you're going to say something. The author is getting tired of thinking of raps. Yeah, I understand. 8. Only heal the wounds that restrict my movement. We'll take care of the more life-threatening ones later. If you do that, I should have enough for 2 more blasts, but I can't afford to mess it up. Understood, but if you want to survive these wounds, you're going to have to end this now. The Eight Tails shot forward straight at Itachi and the Nanabi, charging a tailed beast blast. This will be the end for you. B shouted. You should realize that a frontal attack is useless. Itachi said as the 7 tails charged up for its own blast. Just as the 7 tails was done charging, the 8 tails vanished in a burst of lightning. Who said this was a frontal attack? Itachi looked up and saw the 8 tails just before it released its chakra blast. Itachi and the Nanabi slammed into the ground, creating a massive crater. B landed beside them a second later and transformed back to normal. We showed him, didn't we, Ater? I'm exhausted from that fight. B thought. B, watch out, I just sensed him. B immediately got into a fighting stance with his swords, when the Itachi and the Nanabi in the crater exploded. B was thrown like a ragdoll into the air, slamming into a pile of rocks, nearly knocking him out and knocking all of his swords away. My swords. B thought through the fog that had invaded his mind. Itachi landed right next to B. A simple shadow clone explosion defeated the great and powerful 8 tails. Itachi looked right at B and put him under a genjutsu. I know your tailed beast is out of chakra. You can't resist this genjutsu. Goodbye. Itachi summoned a clone, which picked up B and placed him on the Nanabi before dispelling. The capture of the 8 tails was complete. I wonder how everyone else is doing on their tasks. Itachi wondered. Itachi closed his eyes, contacted Pain. Itachi, I take it everything was a success? Pain said. Yes, Pain. The 8 tails is secure and I'm heading to the sealing place now. How is the hunt for the 9 tails? Not well. We still haven't located him yet. I've ordered the others to begin targeting villages and towns. We will destroy all of Kumo if we have to in order to root him out of hiding. Also, Itachi, I need your help with something. Meet me at my location in 2 hours. Yes, Pain. Tsunade was in her office, just about to finish the day when the transmission came in from Kumo. Tsunade quickly read the first reports about the Akatsuki attacking Kumo and decided this may be the chance to destroy the Akatsuki once and for all. Shizune, summon Kakashi here right now. Also get Tenzo in here ASAP. She didn't even hear Shizune reply. She was too busy trying to find a way to get Naruto back and completely destroy the Akatsuki in one stroke. Deidara continued to rain down death on Kumo for nearly an hour. He had nearly run out of clay and was preparing to leave when lightning began striking everywhere. Deidara swore and began swerving in an attempt to dodge the incoming lightning strikes. On the ground, men were loading catapults and other devices in an attempt to bring Deidara down. Move over. The wreckage had arrived and made his way toward a catapult. Lighting sparked all over his body. He then proceeded to climb on a catapult. Prepare to launch me at the enemy. A ordered. The ninja in charge nearly fell over when he heard this. Are you sure that's a good idea, sir? What if we miss? A turned to him with a very nasty look on his face. And for your sake, Solidar, I hope you don't. The ninja gulped and ordered his team to get ready to fire. Fire! He shouted and A was launched into the air. Deidara was just beginning to leave when A flew right at him. He only had time to catch a glimpse of him before his head was lobbed off by A's punch. Too fast, were Deidara's final thoughts. A continued flying and smashed into his office, creating another hole, and landed right in front of his secretary and Karui. Rakage! Karui yelled. B is under attack from another Akatsuki. Couldn't you have used the other hole? The other countries responded by the way and are sending several attachments to help us find the Akatsuki. Stop making jokes, Masami, and what do you mean B is under attack? I just killed one of them. A said, his anger rising again. Before Karui could respond, another ninja, a Jonin, raced into A's office. Rakage, sir. The Akatsuki have invaded the whole country. We have dozens of reports from members rampaging around the western part. B has also been captured by the enemy and is being transported by the Akatsuki to Lake Mami. The coastline is also under attack from the Akatsuki member known as Kisame. A couple other members are causing massive damage to our military bases by the border of Iwa. The Jonin finished and collapsed from exhaustion. A walked over to a bookcase and smashed it into splinters. Order every ninja we have and form them up. I want an army of fast ninja to meet me at Lake Mami to recapture B. Send a cable to the other countries. Tell them we're going to need more than a few men if we want to wipe out the Akatsuki. Also, Masami, get me another goddamn desk. Now move. And with that, it turned around and smashed another hole through his office and went to lead Kumo's army. Masami sighed. I'll get that cable to the other countries. Kaori, can you take care of this ninja? Then I go join the Rakage. Also, make sure he sends some more ninja to defend the daimyo from the Akatsuki. I'll also send out the notes to the commanders to mobilize our military. Good luck out there, by the way. Kaori nodded and raced out of the office. Well, this is the most fun I've had in a while. Kisame mused as he killed another Kumo ninja. He had just been flooding a fishing village when several ninjas showed up and tried attacking him. He said tried because he killed all of them except one who ran off to get reinforcements. It had been a while and he expected him back soon. Kisame grinned, displaying his shark teeth. Well, look who's finally back. I thought you were going to run off completely. No less than 20 other ninjas show up. All of them had swords out and looked ready to fight. The leader, an older Jonin, pointed his sword at Kisame. You'll pay for this, you monster. Kisame just began preparing hand seals. Monster? Maybe you've seen one. I'm looking for the 9 tails. Any information and I may spare your lives. Deal? Enough talk. Prepare to die. All of the ninja prepared a lightning jutsu to fry Kisame. Kisame laughed. So, you don't know anything. Guess I don't have to hold back. Kisame immediately lunged straight at a Chunin and crushed his throat with one of his hands. The Chunin let out a gurgled scream and died right there. A nervous genin then fired his lightning attack early and hit another genin. Kisame laughed again. It's just too perfect. All the other ninja released the lightning attacks at Kisame, who dodged them easily and swung his sword right on top of a Jonin's head. The Jonin didn't even have time to react as his head was smashed by Samahata. Come on. I need a challenge and there is no Itachi to stop me now. 3 ninja charged him with their swords. One aimed for his head and was blocked by Samahata. Another lunged at his heart and was stopped by kick to the neck, and nasty crack was heard from all around. The last one also tried the heart and was stopped by his friend's body falling on him. Yu, a female Kumo ninja, screamed. She raced after Yu and was cut down by another attack from Samahata. Pathetic, and you call yourselves shinobi? Kisame taunted. One by one, sometimes in groups, each ninja was killed until there were none. Kisame began walking toward another village not far from here until he was interrupted by Samahata pulling him another direction. What is it? Do you sense something? Kisame asked his sword. The sword motioned that way and soon Kisame understood. You sense the 9 tails chakra? That way? Then that's where we're heading. With a general idea where the 9 tails was, Kisame began heading westward. Halfway across Kumo, Ganon and Amuru were in the middle of attacking a Kumo military base. Amuru was cutting down several Kumo ninja, while Ganon was attacking buildings and heavy weapons such as cannons. He had also summoned several creatures. They looked like black smoke and they seemed like they were made of smoke. Ganon was sitting on top of one of these creatures. So far it was the largest at nearly 15 feet tall even when it was on all fours. It had massive claws on its feet and a small, stubby tail. Its head looked like a lizard's and it had dark scaly skin similar to a lizard. Ganon turned toward Amuro. Be sure to check their headquarters. They may have a copy of their battle plans here. Amuro glanced back at Ganon. Yeah, I was just about to head over there. The commander of the base was taken out already, right? Yes, one of my shadow beasts killed him. Amuro looked at several of the ninja attacking one right now. So, are those invincible? They don't seem to have a weakness. Amuro asked as she headed for the commander's quarters. Everything has a weakness. They just have to find it. She turned away from the battle with the shadow beast. Guess I better watch myself around him. Amuro thought to herself. She entered the commander's quarters and began searching for any documents that could help the Akatsuki fend off a counterattack from Kumo. Back outside, the Kumo ninja were just beginning to figure out the weakness of the shadow beasts. One of the Jonin commanders called out. Everyone, the beasts can be hurt if you channel your chakra through something. It has to be normal chakra, not a nature chakra. The surviving ninja immediately began attacking the beast with their swords and inch by inch, they began to turn back the beast. Casualties were beginning to run high, too high for many of the ninja, and once they got some breathing room, they retreated outside the base and began preparing to defend against the next onslaught of these creatures. Ganon jumped from his summon and onto a stone rampart. Looking down on the Kumo nin, he began thinking of a plan to finish them off. Maybe I'll send level 2 creatures at them. He mused. Yeah, that will finish them off. He began to gather his chakra for a summon and summoned 3 identical creatures. These were more humanoid, but they too were composed of shadowy material. They stood at nearly 7 feet tall and had masks on. The masks were black with identical patterns on each of them. The patterns were simply several lines through them. They had no eye holes or any visible noses and had short, rope-like hair. Attack and wipe out those ninja down there. Leave no survivors, Ganon ordered. The 3 creatures raced down there at far faster speeds than the previous summons and crashed right into the survivors of the military base, tearing apart the ninja with their bare hands. What blows the creatures took they absorbed, and in no time the survivors were all wiped out. Amuro joined him just as the last ninja fell and handed him several documents. We should report this to Pain as soon as we can, Amuro said. Ganon quickly scanned the documents. Yes, he will need to know. Get ready, we're going to move out soon. Wait, can't we grab something? I saw a safe back there and I want to go back real quick. Ganon shook his head. No, we need to get this to Pain now. We had no idea that all of the countries would react this way once we attacked. Amuro scowled. Well, you can tell Pain that. I'm going to open that safe. I mean, this is why I joined the Akatsuki, to get rich. I'm not about to let that safe go. It was Ganon's turn to scowl now. And you're going to just jeopardize our whole operation just so you can steal some gold? If we win, you can have all of the gold in the world. Well, I'm going to go on ahead. Do you need me to leave a summon? Amuro angrily shook her head. No, I can get my own ride. See you around. Ganon watched her walk off. For some reason, I doubt it. Ganon jumped back on his summon and headed off to meet Pain. 18 years ago in Konoha, a 7-year-old Naruto sat in his apartment. He had just been forced out of the orphanage a couple of weeks ago and had been given an apartment by the Hokage, and he had assigned a caretaker to check up on him. Every few days old man Hokage would check up on him. Those days were his favorite. All the caretaker would do is ignore him. But today was different. For the first time since staying in his apartment, it was raining and thundering and Naruto was terrified. Old man Hokage had promised that he would visit today, but he was starting to think the Hokage lied and wasn't coming. Now people were outside throwing rocks or something at his apartment. He didn't understand why. Maybe it's 'cause I'm an orphan. Naruto thought glumly. The rocks ceased soon after that, but something else happened, something far more terrifying. A man dressed in black wearing a dragon mask for the Anbu Black Ops was pounding on the door and peering through the windows. He proceeded to smash the glass with a brick and began screaming into Naruto's apartment. Better not come out, you demon. 'Cause if you do, we're gonna kill you. You got that, you little shit? Naruto covered his ears and closed his eyes, but he couldn't block out the screaming. Go away, he screamed. The man just laughed and continued banging against Naruto's door. Just wait till I get in there. Naruto opened his eyes to make sure he wasn't making his way in, but almost immediately regretted it. You opened your eyes, you stupid demon. Naruto saw a flash and soon he was in a different place. He was in a cold, dark cave. Where am I? He shouted. He felt hot breath on his back and he turned slowly around and saw a giant black dragon. The beast roared and Naruto began screaming. The worst part was realizing no one was coming. Naruto woke up with a start, panting, and jerking his head around making sure he was safe. He closed his eyes again and caught his breath before standing and walking out of his cell. He saw Wong sitting down and went over to join him. Wong looked up at Naruto. Ah, so Sleeping Beauty is awake. Yeah, make as many jokes as you want. Anything interesting happen while I was asleep? Wong grinned. You know that ring you gave to Gordo? Well, the guards found it and Dolso wasn't very pleased. Wong laughed. Well, come on, don't leave out any of the details. Wong stopped laughing. You have no idea how nice it is for us something to go according to plan. Anyway, Dolso just beat Gordo in front of everyone and dragged him off to solitary. He'll be there for a while, but Mari asked to see you. Naruto looked up in surprise. Me? Do you know what she wants? Wong shook his head. No, but I wouldn't want to keep her waiting. She can have a real mean temper if you keep her waiting for too long. Naruto turned around and began heading towards Mary's quarters. Well, see you around. Naruto passed the guard and entered Mary's room. Mari looked up from her chair and smiled. Welcome, Urata. How are you? Good. How are things? Mari stood up and walked up to Naruto, but Naruto noticed how she walked. It was more of a seductive walk. Mari smiled again. Excellent, but could you join me? I need help with something. It was Naruto's turn to smile. Well, I'm sure I can you with anything you need. Mari grabbed Naruto's hand. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go. A while later, Naruto and Mari laid beneath the covers of her bed. You know it's been a while since I last did that. Naruto said. I bet. This is prison after all, unless you're playing for the other team. Naruto laughed. No, I don't swing like that. Naruto began stroking her head. You're very beautiful by the way. Or are you saying that because I'm beautiful, or because I'm the only woman in this prison? Naruto smiled. Both, but that just makes you better I think. Mari smiled. Thank you. You're not too bad yourself. The two laid there for several more minutes. So what's next? For getting out of here I mean, and then after that, for us? One thing at a time, Urata. First, let's get out of here. Then decide what's next. Elsewhere, Kumo's cries for help were being met. All of the 5 great shinobi nations had decided to send some ninja and an army would follow them, all for the intention of destroying the Akatsuki. That is your mission. Kakashi, Sakura, Tenzo, and Sasuke, do you understand? Find the Akatsuki and kill or capture them. All of them have been sighted there, including Itachi, but you must listen to Kumo. Also, Naruto may have been spotted in Kumo. If he has, bring him back here. Tsunade said. Deep down Tsunade was hoping she wasn't making a mistake in ordering them to bring back Naruto. Sure, Kakashi, Sakura, and even Sasuke had shown remorse for their actions, with Sasuke showing remorse last, and now they wanted him back as well, but she was hoping Naruto wouldn't attack them or anything. Sakura raised her hand. Would Naruto be protected here? The council still hates him. Tsunade nodded. I should be able to protect him from them. She looked at all 4 of them. If this is successful, we may see a new world emerge out of this mess. Don't fail me. The 4 shinobi looked up in surprise at that comment. What do you mean? Sasuke asked. I can't say now. Not yet, but you must not fail me. Understand? The 4 nodded and walked out of her office. Tsunade turned toward Shizune. Do you think I'm making the right choice by bringing Naruto back? I hope so, but did you ever consider if he didn't want to come back? Or even if you will find him? That's why it's a secondary objective for them. I know they've repented for what they did and now they see him in a new light, but still I just hope he hasn't changed too much. Tsunade turned back to her desk and began signing forms authorizing Konoha's ninja to begin mobilizing. Shizune watched Tsunade return to work when she remembered something from earlier. You remember the city-state Manila, right? The ones that sold us our chakra cables, you know, the new messaging system for all of the countries? They sent us a cable offering some support. They offered supplies, new weapons, and a bunch of other new technologies in case the Akatsuki surfaced. I think they extended this offer to all the other countries. Tsunade turned towards Shizune. Why didn't you mention this before? Accept and ask if they can spare anything else. Shizune nodded. Aren't you a little surprised that they offered though? Normally they try to remain neutral. Tsunade nodded. True, but they hate the Akatsuki as well. Also understand that Manila is independent. They have no kings or nobles, but they have a lot of powerful companies and corporations. They don't want to fight, but they will want to sell us war materials. Have you ever been there, Tsunade? Before you took me up as an apprentice, I mean. Yes, it was a beautiful city. It's been on some hard times lately and not quite so beautiful, but there are many rich people and I was hoping to make it big and lost everything, again. They are very advanced and extremely corrupt as well. All it is now is a giant crime-ridden city, but the people that do live there are generally good people, but they're scared, so they don't complain in fear of criminals. The city is also on a peninsula and the only times they've been invaded, once by us and twice by Kirigakure and Kumo, they've repelled them. Tsunade finished up a letter and passed it to Shizune. Send this to Gaara. Also, word to Jiraiya, we're going to need him for this war. Yes, Tsunade. Shizune turned and hurried out of her office. Tsunade stood up and walked over to the window staring down at the village that her grandfather built. This will probably be the last thing I do before retiring. Tsunade thought. God, I hope they find Naruto though. Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, and Tenzo were staring at a map in an inn on the road to Kumo. Kakashi pointed at a point on the map. This is the closest Kumo military base. We could head there and offer our support. Or we could head straight to the capital. They have railways that connect to all of Kumo. We could easily get anywhere the Akatsuki are. Tenzo suggested. What about Naruto? Are we going to look for him first or last? Sakura asked. The council will want to ignore Naruto, but if we can find him, we can convince them that he's a valuable asset and needs to be protected or needs to be reinstated in the military. If we get him back in the military, Tsunade will protect him until she can make a more permanent deal with the council. Sasuke said. We will get him back before returning to Konoha. I promise you that. Kakashi said. Well, we better get moving. Tenzo said. Yeah, the next shinobi war is about to begin and I don't want to miss it. Sasuke said. Let's go Team Kakashi. Kakashi ordered. Underneath Lake Mami, Itachi stood on top of the Nanabi and waiting for the others. All of a sudden, Pain, Konan, Ganon, Kisame, Tobi, and Zetsu appeared. Pain looked around noticing the Ascent members. Where are Deidara and Amuru? Deidara is dead. The Raikage killed him as he was attacking Kumogakure. Zetsu said. They're also preparing an army to meet us here in a few days. Some scout units may be coming in soon. Amuru ran off as we destroyed their base. I don't know if we will see her again. Ganon said. We'll need to find her later. Konan said. Forget it. For now we need to concentrate on finding the Nine Tails. Pain said. Has anyone got an idea where he is? I found traces of the Nine Tails chakra. I'm following the trail right now. If Samahata is correct, I'll find it in a few hours. Kisame said. Excellent. Continue on the trail. You are dismissed, Kisame. Kisame nodded and vanished. Pain turned to Tobi. Tobi, meet me at my location. I'm taking control of the 8 tails and you're going to take the one-tailed. Tobi saluted. Aye, Master Pain. Tobi vanished after that. Ganon, I want you to go to Route 8 and watch for any reinforcement coming from Suna or Konoha. Ganon bowed. Yes, Pain. Zetsu, continue spying, let me know if anything happens. Pain, we do have something to report. Kumo sent word of our exploits to the other countries and all of them are sending forces. The black half of Zetsu said. Don't worry, Pain. We have the all 8 of the tailed beast with us. We won't lose. White Zetsu said. We need to be prepared, Zetsu. Find out when the reinforcements are set to arrive. Pain ordered. Zetsu bowed and left Konan, Itachi, and Pain in the cave. Now Itachi, we'll be here in 1 hour with the tailed beasts. Prepare yourself, for we need to kill the Raikage and his army if we want to buy the time to capture the Nine-Tailed. It will be done, Pain. Good, let's go, Konan. Pain and Konan vanished and Itachi was left alone with the Nanabi. Best prepare for the Raikage. Itachi said aloud. We're going to need all the firepower we can get. Naruto, Jin, Mari, and several others sat in the back of a cell block, out of sight from the other inmates and guards. Jin stood up. So we are about to begin the operation that will get us out of here and hopefully make a better Kumo in the process. We have the supplies needed to traverse the Badlands and we got a map detailing where all the new lakes are. All we need now is a small explosive charge to blow a hole in the wall for us to escape. Now, Urata and Shin, you're going to steal it. Takara, you know explosives best. You're gonna plant it. Jin sat back down. Anything you want to add, Mari? Mari stood up. Everyone, be careful. If we get split up while escaping, follow the North Star to the first lake. We'll meet you there. Mari paused and looked around the room, gazing at all the people under her command. Our children will look back on this day and they will remember it as the day Kumo changed for the better. Let's do this. Everyone stood up and left. Mari walked over to Naruto. Please be careful, Urata. I will. Naruto promised. Mari left and Naruto turned to Shin. Let's do this, Shin. Yeah, I already got an idea too. Follow me, Shin said. The two men walked outside just as the sun was beginning to sink. Shin stopped and pointed to a building built on top of the wall enclosing the prison. See that building up there? That's where the key is. You wait here while I climb up. I'll pass you the key and the weapon storage is right up there by the far corner of the fort. I'll meet you there. Try not to look suspicious by the way. Got it. I'll stand here for a few minutes before walking over and catching the keys. Good luck. Shin sprinted at the wall and grabbed onto it. He then threw himself up into the air and caught another part of the wall before hauling himself onto the rampart and he quickly slipped inside. Interesting climbing technique, Naruto thought. Naruto waited 30 seconds before walking over, but rather than dropping the keys for Naruto, Shin jumped off and landed next to Naruto. What happened? Why didn't you just pass me the keys like we planned? Shin scrambled to his feet. Take the keys. I need to report something to Lady Mari right now. Sorry to leave you like this, but I need to tell her something. Shin gave Naruto the keys and sprinted off to find Mari. Naruto walked over to where the armory was and scrambled up the wall and snuck by the sleeping guard and unlocked the armory door. Naruto glanced at the guard. Guess he didn't expect anyone up here. He thought. He slipped through the doors and found the charges easily enough. Naruto also noticed a box of kunai and grabbed them as well. You never know, Naruto thought. He slipped past the guard easily enough and hopped down before heading back to the group. Naruto walked right up to Jin and handed him the explosives. Got it, and I picked this up too. Naruto handed Jin the kunai. Jin accepted it. Good work. Shin also learned some disturbing news. Kumo in the world is now at war with the Akatsuki. Naruto looked at him in alarm. What do you mean? I thought they were just a group? Jin shook his head. Shin stole a newspaper and the prison's orders while he was up there. We don't know much about them because we've been in here for so long. You know anything? The newspaper said that they've attacked the capital, burned several smaller villages to the ground, and have sacked a military base. It also said that all the other ninja nations are sending help. My, how the times changed. That was unheard of a few years ago. All I know about them is they want the tailed beasts. That's all. About as much as we know. We can use this to our advantage though when we escape. For now, get some rest and let Mari and I worry about this. Sounds good. Naruto turned and walked to his cot, wishing Mari was with him. Several hours later, Naruto woke with a jolt as Jin shook him awake. Wake up, Urata, and be quiet. We're busting out of here. Naruto was immediately awake and alert. Good, he whispered. Jin woke up Wong and then dashed down the cell block to wake the others. Naruto and Wong crept toward the exit of the cell block. They saw several others crouching down and joined them. Naruto strained his eyes, trying to see into the dark night. Can you see anything? Naruto whispered. No, we should have tried to leave when the moon was full. Wong glanced up in the sky. It's cloudy too. It's going to be pitch black up ahead. Jin returned. They're all ready. Takara already set the charge. Shin and a few others went to go look out for the guards and delay them if necessary. Everyone waited in tense silence as they waited for an explosion to signal to them it was time to go. After several minutes of waiting, a massive booming noise sounded off throughout the prison. Jin leapt up and ran toward the explosion. Everyone run. Meet us at the rally point. Jin yelled. Naruto sprinted forward. It didn't take him long to realize that something seemed amiss. Where are the guards? He wondered. Naruto got his answer in a few minutes, when several guards began racing toward them. Naruto continued running when he stopped right at where the hole was. Standing between the prisoners and their freedom were 8 Kumo Anbu ninja. Several others before Naruto had tried running past them and all of them were down before the Anbu squads. Naruto noticed Shin and a few others tied up and another person from the gang standing untied over them. It didn't take Naruto long to realize that they had been betrayed. Jin and a few others charged forward with several improvised weapons they had made before, but none of them were any match for ninja using chakra. One of the Anbu stepped forward. Now all of you will not be punished as long as you hand over your ringleader, Mari, and any others involved with this pathetic attempt at a jailbreak. Fear overtook Naruto when he realized that Mari and him would most likely not make it if they were handed over to them. Before he could do anything drastic, Wong tugged on his sleeve. "Arata, look up." Above the partially destroyed wall. Naruto followed Wong's gaze and noticed one of the statues made to block the chakra for the inmates and noticed it was off. "If you turn it back on, the Anbu won't be able to use chakra. We can use chakra too, but we're no match for them right now. Some of us haven't used chakra in years." Wong said. "How could I turn it back on?" Naruto said. As he was saying that, several others charged by. This time the Anbu were using blades to cut down the prisoners. "Just tape the button on top of the statue." And with that said, Naruto charged the wall and scrambled up it in seconds. Naruto raced for the statue and smashed the top of it. The statue quickly lighted up. "Go! Their chakra is blocked," he shouted. With that all of the prisoners rushed the Anbu. The Anbu, thinking it was a bluff, quickly fell beneath the stampede of prisoners. Naruto spotted Mari untie Jin and a few others before racing off into the dark. "Time to go," he thought. Naruto jumped down from the wall before realizing that dozens of the guards were racing towards him. A wave of dread swept over Naruto as he realized something. "I'm not getting out of here anytime soon," he thought glumly. Naruto got into a fighting stance, a stance he had been taught a few years ago when he began to travel the world again, and prepared for a fight. Naruto launched himself at the first few guards and tackled several of them to the ground. Naruto was up on his feet in seconds and kicked a guard in his stomach. Most of the guards had ran past him to look for the escapees, but nearly 10 of them stayed behind to tend to the Anbu's wounds and make sure the prisoners on the ground didn't attempt to escape. However, 4 guards attacked Naruto and after a brief fight, Naruto was knocked out. "What do we do with them?" a guard asked. "Put them back in their cell blocks. Let's hope we can get the prisoners back before the Raikage hears about this. These damn Anbu should have told us about this. Had they, we could have prevented this. We'll figure it out soon. For now just patrol this breach and drag the prisoners back here. We'll interrogate them tomorrow." Kisame continued his hunt for the 9 tails. After a few hours of tracking him, he believed he was close. "Just a few more miles and I'll find him," Kisame thought. The land had changed dramatically. No longer was he near the sea, but near mountains. A long ways away, he saw a giant desert. "Just wait 9 tails. I'll be there soon." Kakashi, Sakura, Tenzo, and Sasuke had been traveling non-stop to Kumo. After nearly a day and a half, they had reached the border. Kakashi stopped and signaled the rest of his team to stop as well. "We need to rest. We'll stop here for a few hours and then move on in the morning. Tenzo, could you make some shelter? I am sorry, but if you want me to fight tomorrow I'll need to save my chakra." "No problem. Everyone, throw down your mats and get some sleep," Kakashi ordered. Sasuke was just setting down his mat, when out of the shadows a beast charged him. Sasuke grabbed his sword and in a few moments the beast lay dead at his feet. Several other beasts stepped into the light of a fire Kakashi had made and Sasuke saw that they were made out of shadows. "Ah, so here are the first casualties from Konoha," a voice said out in the darkness. "Tonight is your last night." The team of Konoha ninja brandished swords and kunai. "Show yourself," Sakura demanded. "Very well." A man stepped out of the shadow, a man that dwarfed all of them there. He was carrying a long sword and Sasuke could make out seals on him. "I am Ganon, the last name you'll ever learn." And with that more monsters rushed out of the shadows and Konoha's first engagement began. Sasuke was back to back with Kakashi trying to fight back against the shadow creatures Ganon had created. Sasuke had just sliced through his 10th one when Kakashi spoke up. "This is getting ridiculous. We kill one and another takes its place. At least we're holding up." Sasuke's eyes looked around the battleground. Ganon was standing on a boulder watching the fighting unfold before him. He still hasn't stepped in. He's letting his summons wear us down. I don't know how we can stop him right now. Sasuke scanned the area with his Sharingan. "Kakashi, do you see the chakra coming from his body? I see most of it from his arms." Kakashi ducked as one of the summons swung his arm at him. Yeah, I noticed that too. They might have something to do with these things. Suddenly, Sasuke heard a nasty crack and cry for help. Whipping his head around to see the source, he froze when he saw Tenzo lying on the ground. Just as he was about to dash over to help him, Sasuke felt a blow to his shoulder and was thrown violently to his side. Standing over him was Ganon. You know you shouldn't leave yourself open like that. Ganon stood over him, and in Ganon's hand were knuckle dusters made out of the same shadowy material as the summons were. Ganon lifted his hands, and before Sasuke's eyes, the knuckle dusters transformed into a large broadsword. And no, you die. Before Ganon could finish Sasuke off, a gust of wind blew through the area, throwing dust into the air. The sound of metal striking metal crashed through the air. Sasuke opened his eyes and for a few seconds, couldn't see anything, even with his Sharingan. Well, it's been a while, Uchiha. As the dust cleared, Sasuke saw who his savior was. It was Kankuro's puppet, the crow. Where the hell did you come from? Kankuro jumped beside Sasuke. Grateful as always, we were on our way to meet the Raikage. We saw your team and decided to help out. Kankuro looked out towards Ganon. So what do we have here? Stay back, he's mine, Sasuke said. Struggling to stand, Sasuke noticed that Crow had managed to slash Ganon across the arm, revealing tattoos that looked a lot like seals. Don't do any more, like I said, he's mine. Across the field, Temari was fighting against several of the summons. With several well-placed wind attacks, they began to die slowly. Sakura was attending to Yamato and Kakashi and two other sand ninja, Baki and another female shinobi Sakura didn't recognize. Sakura has checked Tenzo's wounds, fearing the worst and relieved that all he had was a cracked rib. He should be alright later, she thought. Sakura turned back towards the battle and watched as the sand shinobi used several wind techniques to destroy the summons and the earth around them. Kakashi stood guard over her and glanced at Yamato. Is he alright? Sakura nodded. He should be in a few minutes. All he has is a cracked rib and he might have a mild concussion. I'll double check later when the fighting is done. Kakashi nodded and turned to watch Sasuke fight. Kakashi-sensei, don't you think you should try and help the others? Kakashi chuckled. If I do, I might pass out from chakra exhaustion. Oh. Back across the field, Sasuke was still trying to bring down Ganon, but no matter how hard he tried, Ganon couldn't be touched. Eventually, Kankuro joined into with Crow, but even then they couldn't land a finishing blow. Eventually, Ganon swung his sword, cutting off Crow's head. You are both very skilled, but you shouldn't hide behind a puppet, Ganon said. Don't underestimate me and Crow, Kankuro said. Kankuro pulled out a scroll, summoned another puppet, but rather than join the fight, it disassembled itself and parts of the puppet flew over to Crow and began repairing and armoring Crow. In just a few seconds, Crow had been repaired, armored, and had a new weapon, an axe. Kankuro made Crow whip around and began slashing at Ganon at a far faster rate than before. Not wanting to be left out, Sasuke formed the hand seals and launched a fireball at Ganon. Kankuro had Crow leap into the air and launch a net trap at Ganon. Ganon was entangled in the net just as Sasuke's fireball hit Ganon. Sasuke was panting slightly. That should be the end of that. Not quite. Ganon was still standing but was cloaked in shadows. However, the shadows receded from Ganon and vanished. How did you survive that attack? Sasuke demanded. Simple, I had the shadows form a shield around me. Unfortunately, I used up most of my chakra and now it's time for me to depart. Like hell, we'll let you, Kankuro shouted. Don't worry, we'll see each other soon and next time you won't be quite so lucky. Ganon slowly faded into the shadows as did his summons, and in a few moments, the area was quiet again. Sasuke scanned the area with his Sharingan, looking for any sign of Ganon. I think he's gone. Kankuro returned Crow to his scroll. Come on, let's check up on the others. The two returned to the other five. Kakashi had begun preparing a fire and Sakura and the other girl were tending to Tenzo, who was still unconscious. What happened to him? Kankuro asked. Nothing too serious, just a broken rib, and a minor concussion from when his head hit the ground, Sakura said. Sakura turned towards them and glanced up and down the two. What happened to your arm, Sasuke? That Akatsuki got a hit in earlier. It's nothing, Sasuke said. Let me see. I should be alright. No, come here and let me look at it now, Sakura growled. Kankuro smirked. It didn't look like nothing when I rushed in to save your ass. Sasuke scowled, but went over to Sakura anyway. After several minutes, Sakura gave him the all-clear and Sasuke went over by the fire and was asleep in no time. The end of this hunt is here. Now the fighting begins, Kisame thought. He had tracked Nine Tails chakra for nearly 2 days and at last he could sense the end of the line. Approaching a cave he casually entered. Walking into the dark, Kisame sent chakra to his eyes and in seconds, Kisame had perfect night vision. However, another creature sensed Kisame as well and in the cave, Kisame made out 2 glowing eyes followed by a cloak of red chakra. Kisame stared, bemused at what he saw, stared at what he had been tracking. "You're not the Nine Tails," he declared after staring at the abomination before him. Rather than the blonde Jinchuriki he was expecting, he saw a boy around the same age, but with shoulder-length dark, bluish hair, and one of his hands looked like a monster's hand rather than human one. Standing before Kisame was Sora, a pseudo-Jinchuriki. Akatsuki spies had learned about him a long time ago. He was cast out of the Fire Monk's temple after an incident 7 years ago. Pain had ordered any Akatsuki member to kill him on sight. Kisame grinned. "Well, at least I don't have to worry about leaving you alive. Hopefully we can have a little fun before you die." Sora let out a growl and dashed forward and reared his hand back to cut Kisame in half. Kisame just laughed. "Come on, do something a little different." Catching Sora's hand with one hand, Kisame sent some chakra into his arm and with the added strength from the chakra, tossed Sora straight into the cave's ceiling. Several stalactites collapsed from the ceiling, falling with Sora. Disappointed, Kisame walked over to cut Sora up with Samahata, but before killing Sora, Sora reacted slamming his fists into Kisame's chest making him lose his balance for a second. But only for a second, Kisame almost immediately recovered and this time no lucky shot was going to stop him from killing Sora. Concentrating chakra in his feet, Kisame lashed out with a kick and was rewarded with a satisfying crack from Sora's femur bone. Sora let out a howl of pain and collapsed to the floor once more. This time there would be no getting up. Acting quickly, Kisame reached down, grabbed Sora's neck and gave it a little twist. Another crack echoed throughout the cave and Sora didn't move again. Kisame stood up. "I better report this to Pain." Far away from Sora's grave, near Lake Mami, Itachi finished his preparations for the Raikage's army. The Raikage had consolidated his forces and was now heading toward Itachi with an army of 2,000, nearly a fifth of Kumo's army. Today the Raikage will die, as will his army. Itachi thought. Pain had come by and ripped out the 8 tails from Killer Bee. Since they didn't have to seal it away, it was ready to go immediately. Pain had given control of the one-tailed to Toby, who ran off to fight Iwa's army. Pain had taken control of the 8 tails the same way he had taken over the others, by driving chakra receivers into them. Just as he did to control the other 5 Pain bodies, but those were deactivated and Pain, in his diva path, was controlling 6-tailed beasts. It was a feat only a god could do. "Are you ready, Itachi?" Pain asked. He had concealed himself, waiting for the Raikage to appear. With him out of the way, the Akatsuki could plunder Kumo and take on the rest of the 5 shinobi nations while Kisame searched for the 9-tailed. "I am ready, Pain," Itachi answered back. "Are you and Conan ready?" "Yes. Now, I can sense the Raikage. He'll be in range in several minutes." And with that the connection with Pain stopped and Itachi was left alone to prepare for what would be one of the largest slaughters in shinobi history. Only a half a mile away, it was readying his army for a charge. In just a few days, the Raikage had created one of the largest armies ever and they were preparing to get B back. Standing before his army, he began to prepare his army. "Ready yourselves, men. Today we eradicate the scum of the earth, the Akatsuki. Now charge." He jumped in front of his army and in seconds he spotted one of the Akatsuki devils. "Itachi Uchiha of Konoha, today you breathe your last." A thought savagely. The mind connection between Pain and Itachi had started up again. "Ready, Itachi?" "Ready, Pain. Let down the genjutsu then." Pain ordered. Itachi raised his hand and released his genjutsu. A and his army could only stare in horror at what lay before them. Itachi's genjutsu had revealed 7-tailed beasts. All 7 of them had charged up a tailed beast blast. Before it could give any order, Itachi and Pain released the blasts and the Raikage and his army was decimated with 7-tailed beast blasts. A and countless others received the brunt of the blasts, wiping out his army. Within a minute, the once beautiful land of Lake Mami was a destroyed wasteland. Nearly all of the army was vaporized in seconds, mountains shifted, and whoever was left was in no shape to fight. Screams for help dotted the landscape, but nothing was left. Itachi flew over the battlefield surveying the destruction. Pain, I see no signs of resistance and I suspect 90% casualties among the Kumo Nen. I don't see any sign of the Raikage. I sense him. Finish off any large group and let some go to spread the word that we've crushed the Raikage and their army. Pain approached the Raikage and looked down on him. Pain saw the Raikage's legs were blown clear off. The rest of his body looked like raw hamburger meat. A shame you won't see the next era. It will be an era of peace for all nations, whether they want it or not. The Raikage looked up at Pain, tears were clouding his eyes. You bastard. Do you think anyone will listen to you after they hear about this? I imagine they won't have much choice. Goodbye Raikage. Pain brought down his chakra receiver and the Raikage gave one last struggle before breathing his last. The fourth Raikage, one of the strongest shinobi ever, was dead and so was his army. Far from the battlefield, on top of the mountain peaks to the far west of Iwa, a man was sitting in his fortress writing. Our plan is proceeding better than expected. Soon the world will be united under a new nation, a nation that will bring peace to the world. Pain was a very effective tool for us, a crude tool, but an effective one. He is not meant to lead, but he is allowing this new nation to take its first step, its first breath. We will be there to guard it, to make sure it succeeds. We true ninja, not these warriors of the land of fire, water, sand, lighting, and earth. They claim to be ninja, but would a true ninja attack nations head-on? No, they would bring down nations through fear, assassinations, not head-on assaults like in the past, but fight through secret, without using chakra to completely annihilate nations. But enough of my ranting, these nations will combine and they will be nearly unstoppable. I have lived a long time, 600 years by my last count, and never have I felt so optimistic of the future. I saw the clan wars, the first, second, and third shinobi wars, and countless other conflicts. But that is not all of my problems. I still seek a successor, someone to take my place should I pass away, but I have found no worthy successor. Nor have I sired an heir to take my place, as all of my children have been daughters, not sons. Another problem that is plaguing me is Manila, a city corrupt to the core. For whatever reason, they were blessed with technologies beyond the 5 shinobi nations, but they are evil to the very foundation of that cesspool. If we are to create a new nation, free of corruption, crime, and countless other grievances, this city needs to go. How? I do not know, not yet though, soon I will find a mean. On another note, I may have found a new recruit, a man imprisoned in Kumo. An interesting story behind him, son of the 4th Hokage, he was robbed of his parents at the tender age of a few hours old. He then became their Jinchuriki and was eventually banished. Then it all turned around for him. He was adopted and raised properly, but now he is residing in prison. That can be fixed quickly as we have spies all throughout the ninja nations, but I will go and meet him personally. Hopefully I won't be disappointed. That's all for now. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments.